you need more jokes here, you need more jokes here. We don't need that start. It needs to happen quicker. Things like that. So you're just getting straight to the point feedback, which was intense, but it was making things much better. And I was learning so much from that process. Like I knew to get where I wanted to go, one of the best connections I needed to make was BBC The Social.
Yep.
So I tried to get in contact with someone from there, and I got through them, and then I pitched some ideas because I was living on the Isle of Arran at the time, which is where my parents now live. And I pitched them, hey, a couple of sketches about like moving to the countryside, or
you did I remember the sketch. Did you do the one about when it gets dark in the village?
Country Dark, yeah.
Yeah, and then I remember that one, and I remember the robbery one that was during lockdown.
The robbery one?
Yeah.
That was short stuff.
Yeah.
But the Country Dark, I think, was the last one I did in The Social, which got me a meeting with Short Stuff. And then I did the robbery one with Short Stuff, and that's like their second most viewed sketch they've made. It was like 35 million on Facebook.
It was funny.
It was again, right time, right place.
It was.
It was right in the middle of lockdown. So I keep saying yeah. So
listen, you be you. This is about you, quirks and all. This is about you.
But BBC Social got me to BBC Short Stuff, and then I got to pitch to them. I said I have an idea for a sitcom, and then by that time I'd obviously built enough of a relationship for them to consider it.
Yeah, so like you had their trust, and they're like, okay, he's done this, and yeah, that makes sense. Just a working business relationship.
And they went for it.
And then, I mean, I'm guessing you got things you're not allowed to talk about because I know about NDAs and things like that. But hopefully that keeps on going. I mean, well done you again. I'm just. This is me just going, well done. I'm like just
thank you,
validating everything you've worked so far.
Glad someone said it. No, I'm. It's a total dream come true. It's been a goal. The idea of this show is it's younger generation trying to get by on a remote island in Scotland, which has, finite opportunities, limited resources. They're getting priced out of their own home because it becomes more of a tourist destination. It's a different place in the summer than it is in the winter because of tourism.
Yeah, I remember reading an article that there's a whole ongoing debate right now, and not even debate, just like a thing of like, calm down with the can you just not sell everything, please?
Yeah. So it leaves a lot of younger people lost, and then the story of the sitcom is a couple of chancers are just trying to do anything they can to make money and get on top. So kind of saying yes to anything, even if they're not qualified, from like carpentry to furniture removals and things like that. Where it's also surreal, they can go off the deep end as well. I think there's so much more much more. You can tell.
You tapped into something.
There's limited police and things like that, so you can make up your own rules. A lot of it's based on like real stories as well that I've heard from friends that live there and family that live there as well. It's just, to me, fascinating. One of the characters is Maisie.
Is that the one played by Rachel Flynn?
She got out. Her character got out when she was old enough and moved to the city, and only comes back when she's messed up in the city, so she has to come back to the island, which is kind of me because my parents moved to Arran when I was 18. So whenever I messed up, I'd have to come back to Arran, but I didn't grow up in Arran, so I was always kind of didn't really know anyone. So I kind of relate most to that character, but it's after living in Shanghai, I come back to Arran. It's such a beautiful place as well, so it deserves to be seen more on camera.
Now you tapped into something with the cultural, economic aspects, and also obviously just the local scene and just presenting and bringing it's not something that's seen regularly.
No,
on TV.
It seems like a lot of comedy, especially from Scotland, is from the Central Belt and more specifically from Glasgow, where there's so much more you can show. So hopefully that is one of the appeals on one of the things that helps the decision to tell more stories on the sitcom, and it's showing you a landscape that a lot of people travel to see, and a lot of outsiders, but people from other countries are more interested in as well. So it could have more of an appeal as well, I think.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's when you talk about saturation in the market. If the story is all told here and here and here, or just one specific region, then at some point, you get enough of superhero movies. You want to hear something else. You get enough of that specific region. That makes sense.
So yeah, I think
That's a round of applause for you as well from the other room.
I think in the next month or so, they'll make a decision if anything else is going to happen with it. But
fair play. That just leads into a natural question. What's it like pitching a sitcom to the BBC?
Not what you expect.
What you're allowed to say, first and foremost.
I kind of heard about it last minute, like they're taking stuff now, and I was like, oh yeah, I've had this thing ready. Here you go. And then it happened very quickly. They're like, yep, we have to do it with it like very quickly. So it just began like that. So it was very hectic. The writing experience was the toughest part for sure.
I was going to get into that because you're a director, but from what I'm getting is, do you also write your?
So I'd only ever written sketches, and a lot of sketches were collaborations with other friends. It's a lot easier to bounce ideas back and forth, and that's happened.
Yeah.
But at this point, it was up to. I wouldn't say it was all up. It was all up to me. It was up to me to get the bones of the story together. But the support from the producers was definitely grew my ability, because they were not messing around. They were like, you need more jokes here, you need more jokes here, we don't need that start, it needs to happen quicker, things like that. So you're just getting straight to the point feedback, which was intense, but it was making things much better, and I was learning so much from that process. Like in the first draft of the script, it was like, it's a drone shot and he's riding his bike and and then this happens, and then as you're writing it, you start researching other sitcoms. How did they begin? And most successful sitcoms, if not all, establish the show in 30 seconds to 1 minute. You need to know what it has to have a joke. It has to tell you who the characters are, where it's going. Yeah, you've got like a limited amount of time to get their attention to drive the story forward.
The classic is Whiplash. In the first scene, kind of what's going to happen. There's a drummer, there's a teacher, there's some stress. Okay, tension, let's go.
But even, I think films have more of a luxury as well, because they can take their time. And this was a 50-minute pilot. But if you look at Only Fools and Horses, it's a classic. Flight of the Conchords.
Yeah.
It's just two guys walking down the street chatting, but then you get in that 30 seconds they're New Zealanders, because they say, "Oh man, back in New Zealand." They're in New York. They're musicians and they're having women trouble. You get that in like 30 seconds. So and then my pilot starts off with two guys strapping a fridge to a rowboat, learning that and then the other friend being interested in his sister coming back, because.
And that literally sets up.
There's a lack of other people to date, so so he's like, a woman's coming to the island. You realise they're doing like any old job, and they're not doing it well. I tried myself to have that.
Yeah, it's dropping people into the action as opposed to like, this is the build up and something's gonna happen. No, something is happening. Welcome to life.